Yeah, I have to warn you, this is a big long video. I will show you the final product. It's all made with Game Creator 2. So if it's something that you want for your game, well, this is it. So let's suppose that you have your player that you walk around and you have your inventory. You open the inventory and over here is the player, over here is your inventory and the rest, and you want to do something like this. You want to drag with the mouse left and right like this, and then left and then right, and you want to have this. Now this is the player over there, okay, just for showing you. Right now while I'm in inventory, the camera orbit it's off because otherwise it will get like, you know, annoying. And then off the inventory, and that's it. So you have the rest of the control. Now if this is something that you actually like for your game, well then let's see how I've done it. We have the main camera, we have the player, we have the camera shot, and the canvas, which is practically the inventory, and then the canvas manager. Now let's take it from the canvas manager. What is doing the canvas manager? Canvas manager is the one that it's opening from one single key, the canvas. So over here we have a trigger which says whenever the tab button on the keyboard it's pressed, then set active the canvas, which is the inventory in your case, and then enable the camera from POV. Now we're gonna see what is POV and the rest, and then it's setting active the trigger on the canvas, actually the canvas off, which is the one over here, and then it's turning off the camera orbit. In this way you don't get that annoying going around while you are at the mouse in your inventory, and it's disabling disactivating this one. Okay, so let's see that in action actually. So right now I press tab, so it done in 1 second, actually very fast, all that action, which have been activating the canvas, the camera orbit. As you see right now I'm with the mouse and is not orbiting around, which is off, and it turned off by himself, which is canvas on, and turned on the trigger canvas off. Okay, now all this stuff over here, of course I should add even the zoom, because if you see I can still zoom, which is pretty annoying. I can add it somewhere around here under the set camera shoot orbit. So the order of these, let's say, is not too important, besides this one, which is the one that it's deactivating himself. You have to put it at the bottom because the action is going from top to bottom. Okay, now the canvas off is doing exactly reverse of that thing, which is actually when it's pressing, you press the tab, it's turning off the canvas, which is the inventory. It's disabling the camera from POV, and we will see what is that. Then it's setting active back the canvas on, which is the action before. It's putting back the orbit so that you can orbit around your player, and it's turning by himself off. Even this one in this case have to be down at the bottom, because otherwise those action on top, if I put them on under, they will not get triggered unless you put the trigger on disable, but it's another thing, another stuff. We leave it on tab. So let's see what is the camera on POV. Now on the player, let me turn on of this and go on the scene mode. On the player over here, I add a cube. I'm gonna enable the mesh renderer. So this is a cube. Now it can be a sphere, can be whatever you like, but have to be like 0 0 0 on the player. Okay, and then I add another camera over here. This is a camera, the POV. Okay, so you just go on the cube and you go on game creator, cameras, and you choose main camera if you want, or actually better it's to go over here down and you choose camera. I call it POV, being much more short. And if I go in the scene mode, you see that the camera is this one over here, and you can see the player on the left screen small here is showing you how is actually on the UI. Okay, what is doing this? The cube, it will get rotate, and whenever the cube is getting rotate, since the POV being the camera, it's a children of the cube, it will rotate around the player. If you want to do it by script, there is, I know there is um, a code. You say rotate around and you give the target and you give the speed and stuff. Yeah, I've done it like that, but I wanted to make with game creator. So for people that don't want to script, here it is how you're doing. So over here you can select wherever you want. You see over there where you want on your screen the player to be. Maybe you want it on the left of the screen, or maybe you want it to be much more small. In that case, you just put the camera much far away, or you know, even bottom of top, or you can rotate it if you want to see the player from the top of the head. Maybe that's on you. Okay, now on this camera you have to go over here on the render type and choose, instead of base, you choose overlay. Okay, this is practically first thing that you have to do. Second thing, on the cooling mask you have to choose the UI, which is of course the inventory, and the player, because you want to see only the player. You don't want to see over here around the player other stuff. Now if you want to see whenever you equip weapon on the player, you have to go on that object, let's say on the weapon, and you have to add it as weapon. Like you see over here, I have weapon. I should add weapon. In this way I can see. So you go on your weapon. Let's suppose that this is a weapon. I go over here on the layer and I put all this to be on the layer weapon. In this way I can see the weapon on my player, otherwise they cannot be seen. Okay, once I add the POV on the cube and the cube on the player, and I've done these two things, I have to go on the main camera, and on the main camera there is this one, stack, and here you have nothing. So you go on plus and you choose the POV. It should be automatically fine, and it will be this one. Okay, in this way you tell to the camera that you have an overlay camera on your screen, on your hierarchy, on your project. Now for to be able to see the UI and the camera to be connected, you have to go on the canvas or on your inventory. Let's suppose that this is going to be on the inventory, and has to be, instead of I believe there is screen space overlay by default, you have to go screen space camera, and then you have to drag the POV from here down here on the render camera. Then for not having problems, let's say this is a small tip for people, scale with screen, you just put around this resolution, because the most of the players they use this resolution HD, and then you say match with height. In this way, if someone is having a screen that is 4K, or it's higher resolution or low resolution, the buttons of the inventory of the UI is not gonna go around the screen, the order is gonna be annoying and stuff. No, it's gonna get resized by the screens that they have in the resolution actually. So until here we add the camera, we managed to make the canvas manager and the cube and the POV. Now let's see how we make this cube to actually rotate while we are pressing the mouse and we dragging to the left and to the right. On the canvas, over here I have to go in 2D to actually be seen. This is a panel, the white transparent, and then I add a drag zone, which is the player. Now this drag zone doesn't need to be white, but you can make it transparent, or you can make your own image if you want over there, but it has to have an image, because with Game Creator 2, actually with Unity, you know, for detecting the mouse whenever it's going inside over here on hover enter and hover exit, has to have a graphical collider, which is in my case image, which is the drag zone. So on the drag zone we add two triggers, on hover enter and on hover exit, and these two things, they activate and disactivate a couple of triggers. First of all, we have I'm not gonna start to give you exactly which one is in which order, but you can put pause on the video and you can see it. But before we doing this hover enter over exit, you have to create two triggers, trigger right and trigger left. Okay, now trigger right, it says when you press the mouse button, mouse while pressing left, you go on trigger input, and while pressing the left mouse button, you set a variable direction, which is on drag player over here that I have, is this one. I'm gonna put pause on this just to see. It's a vector3 000. It's by default 000, and I call it drag direction. Okay, this is a variable. The second variable you can create it already. It's a boolean, and I said mouse pressed, and we will see after why we need this. This is false by default. So going back over here, what is doing this one is actually setting the position of your mouse. So you go from input. Here you have to be a little bit careful because there are a couple of problems sometimes. I saw that they have not input, I think over here it's mouse, and there is even mouse position, but actually it's working with mouse delta, which is better. And on input direction there is even input Euler, which is different. It's on himself. It's for author it's for author rotation that we need in that case. If I will had rotate around, yeah, I will need that. But so you just choose this one to set on the variable. Then on the same variable we have to set the drag player the author variable boolean as true. Okay, we are still on trigger right until now. And then we have to activate some conditions, which is condition right. Let's go on the conditions right now. On the conditions right, whenever I activate it, it's be a trigger on update. Okay, this trigger on update, it will check some conditions. I don't really like things on update, but since they are just for a couple of seconds or until I actually drag the player, it's okay to have on update. It's checking this condition. The condition is, first of all, is checking if that variable, which is the position of the mouse that we set, it's parallel with what we're doing. Parallel what means that is in the same direction. I need to check the X variant because over here we are actually navigating on X vector, left and right. If we was going up and down, it was Y. So if we go to the right, it will be +5. If we was going to the, if we go to the left, when we set the variable that we done it over here, it will be on the minus. It will be not -5, but it will be -12. It will different, depends on the speed of your mouse. It will go from 0 to, let's say, if you go to the right, it will go 2, 5, 12, 24, and then if you stop with the mouse, it will go back to 0. So this condition actually, it will see that you're going on that direction on the right, and in that case it will say, okay, in this case I want you to rotate, and here I said find the name. You can drag actually the cube and you say game object to rotate, but I like to be find this game object because if I change the player and I put another player, it will not find anymore the cube. It will be a serialized field that it will say okay, which object I have to rotate, and you'll have problems. So the best is to go over here in transform and you go game object find by name. Instead of game object you put find by name, and on the string you put the name of that cube. In my case it's cube. I don't know if you have a sphere or whatever you put, but I put cube. Now in this case we said rotate the cube. On the rotation of the cube actually we adding, by default is set, but we said add, and we said Euler angles because here we need the the code that I said earlier on rotate himself, because he's rotating himself on the epsilon, which is on himself, on the space self, and we put a duration of 0.5 because we don't want to be incident rotation. We want to be like you saw, it's getting transition, rotating to the right and to the left. Over here is acting more like a sensibility, so you can actually put this less or more, like 0.2 or 1 seconds. This is on you. The same on this one. 144 depends how much you want the rotation to be. If you think that is rotating too much, then you just get smaller than 145. You get like 90 maybe, or 120. That depends on you. So play with these two variables over here, these two numbers. So this is all on the right, conditions right. Now on the trigger left, it's exactly what is on the right, but it's reverse. So again, on the while it's pressing the mouse on input, okay, while it's pressing the left mouse button, we set a direction, so it will detect if the mouse is going on the left direction on X, and if it will go, as I said earlier, it will go under 0, it will be -5, -12, -24, and so on. And it will set the mouse preset here. I didn't put it this. Okay, I will put it now. I don't know why he didn't put on the left one, even if it was working earlier. Okay. Okay, then we said that the mouse has been pressed. This is to tell then to another trigger, to another condition, that we actually pressed the mouse, because it doesn't detect that. On true, and then activate the conditions on left. Which conditions on left? It's on update conditions, and it says if the variable that we set it earlier, it's with vector 3, are parallel on the -5 this time on X, then rotate the cube, as I said, find by name string cube, and rotation add Euler anglers, minus in this case, because we want to rotate it reverse this time, not 144 but minus 145. So duration again 0.5, way to complete, and until here we are okay. Now what happened when we actually release the button? When we release the button, we want this action to actually get disabled, because otherwise, if we press the mouse button, whenever we press in the inventory and we move in the inventory the weapons from left to right, or we're doing something else, the player, it will rotate, and you don't really like to see that. So in that case, we say on the mouse release, we actually disable the conditions over here. So in this case, it will not be anymore it will not turn anymore left and right, because I will be with the mouse somewhere else. And then it will say mouse pressed to select on off, because in this case I released my finger from the mouse button. Now I had a problem while I was doing this, because until here was everything okay pretty much, besides this mouse preset, why I needed that, and I will show you now. I had this problem that while I was going outside, it was first not rotating anymore, because these ones, they have to get activated only when I'm with the mouse, with the cursor of my mouse over here, not over here, because here I want now to change my weapons left and right, and I don't want to the rotation of the player to be activated only when I get over here inside, and then if I press the mouse button to rotate, but when I was going outside it was getting disabled. Okay, then I had a second problem that I said, okay, let's suppose that I do hover enter and hover exit, which is this one. On hover enter was getting activating, and on hover exit was getting deactivating the trigger left and right. That was okay until I saw that if I was going with the mouse button over here and I was dragging outside, but I was not releasing the mouse button and I was getting back inside and I was releasing over here, then when I was pressing again to rotate the player, it was not working anymore. I was supposed to go back again outside and then inside of this zone to get activate again those triggers. So this why I created this mouse preset, which is saying over here on update, this it will be activated. It says check the condition if the mouse is pressed. If the mouse is pressed, then trigger is not pressed actually, then this deactivate those two. But this trigger after exit, as you see, is getting deactivated while I'm inside here, because I don't need it when I'm inside here. I need it only when I'm outside. So right now I'm dragging, I release, and I see that the mouse is not pressed anymore and is deactivating those and is not working anymore. This is resolving even the problem when I get back inside, because in that case, this one, the trigger after exit is getting activating only on hover exit, and on hover enter is getting deactivated. So it will not deactivate those triggers right and left only when I go outside, only when I go inside. So in this case, everything it's having like a double switch. This is the main. Now I will do again a fast show you fast again one by one. In this way you can see, so this is drag zone, which is having the trigger right, trigger left, active, they have to activate it when I enter inside, and disactivate the trigger after exit, which is this one over here, has to be activated. Hover exit, I have to activate that trigger. Okay, if you have problems that is not working something, you have to remember that the only one that is staying active is the trigger on release, which is this one on mouse when it's pressed. Okay, so these are the conditions right and conditions left. Conditions right and conditions left, they are commanded mainly by trigger when the mouse button is pressing, while it's pressing, okay, and trigger left and trigger right, they are quite the same. Then there is the condition right. I had a couple of problems because I had to actually see over here are parallel, make sure vector 3 x5. Then this one, it's on rotation add, okay, add not set. I had even this problem. And then on epsilon 144 0.5, and the other one is the same, only that it's having -5 and -144, but the same rotation add and Euler anglers and the rest. Again, I will show you the canvas which manager, which actually is this one. On pressing tab, I activate canvas, can be inventory in your case. It's activating the canvas, then enable the camera from POV. Now you see this is what it's doing, because when you actually turn off the inventory off and on, it doesn't actually turn that POV. If you turn off the POV, well, let's say, yeah, it's okay, you can do it even like so, but I like more to turn off the camera, because I find that much better. The camera on POV is this one, okay? So when you turn off this, you can say actually that you're turning off the inventory, but you're not turning off the inventory. Just the camera doesn't see the UI and the player anymore. That's why you don't see anything else. Now for you to find the camera over here, if you go and you write camera, you're gonna find other cameras, but not camera. So to find camera, you just don't write nothing over there, you just go and search. It's alphabetic ABC, and here it is, camera. Okay, then it's triggering, it's activating the trigger off, and it's deactivating the camera orbit, and then by himself it's deactivating himself. Here I can say actually self, it will be much more easy for you to understand. And then this one is getting off, this one is getting on, and it's doing quite the same thing that like the other one, only that is deactivating everything. And here I actually put it self. Okay, I hope that this helped you. It's 25 minutes of video, and yeah, help it to me. I don't know if it's gonna help to you.